I'm here with Alex Finbow, the editor of The Loxleys and the War of 1812. Alex, what can you tell us about this book?
Well, it's a 102-page graphic novel written by Alan Grant. You may know him from Lobo, Hellblazer, Judge Dredd, Batman. He's part of our company. We're a creator-owned company, so we do the stories we're passionate about. So we wanted to do something about the Americans and the Canadians, the British, all kicking off in 1812 and trying to kick each other's butts. So Alan's written a really good story about this family called the Loxleys that lived just north of the American border at the beginning of the war and how the war affected them. So it's a beautiful comic strip. It's all historically accurate, so every event that happens in the comic book happened in real life, but it's also a really, really good story.
How did you originally hear about the story that you wanted to tell?
Okay. So I'm from England originally. So I've lived in Canada.
I could not tell.
No? I have not developed my Brooklyn accent well enough. I'll work on it, yeah.
The trick to a Brooklyn accent is to just take whatever sentence you're saying and make it one whole word. Like, what are you doing for dinner? What are you doing for dinner?
What are you doing for dinner?
There you go.
What are you doing for dinner?
There you go.
20.
Good.
Okay, all right, now we're rolling. All right, I'll try and do the rest of it in that kind of an accent. So I was in a store, right, and my wife was trying on some boots, and I was bored, so I looked around, and there was this book called The War of 1812. I was like, it's Napoleon, it's Wellington, it's going to be boring European stuff. I looked through it, and it's like, there's the White House on fire. Wow, there's Toronto on fire. What the hell? So I did some research into it and found out about all this stuff which had happened. I thought, why doesn't anybody know about this stuff? I mean, the White House being burnt down? Seriously? By the Canadians? What? So I talked to Alan because we were working on a horror comic together. And he said, yeah, I'll do an adaptation of that. Let's do the research and we'll do a really nice book. And I've got two girls, two daughters, and they're not going to read a historical book. You know, they aren't going to read it. And I know from the kids that I teach the visual storytelling classes in school, they're not going to read a historical book either. But you show them a comic book with great characters in it, with beautiful artwork, and a really good story, then they'll read it and they'll learn the history at the same time. So that's what we started doing, and that was 2 years ago, and we're just getting to the point now where the book's coming together. Claude Stenner-Band's been doing the pencils and inks, and he's on page 95 at the moment. So we're almost there. And Laverne's colouring is brilliant, and Alan's story has got those moments where you're like, oh, I want to find out what happens next. And then there's the tragedy, which kind of like gets a tear in your eyes and a lump in your stomach, and then there's some romance in there as well, to give you a bit of everything.
So like, if you were a teacher who was actually teaching the War of 1812, they could effectively use your book to, you know, teach their kids.
Yes. There's a 64-page historical summary written by a military historian, a guy called Mark Zulke, who wrote a really, really good book on the subject. He summarized his 500-page book into 64 pages, which are illustrated and with maps. You can get everything you need to know about why America started the war, how it ended, how it affected all the different people involved, in 64 pages.
So you've basically got the cliff notes of your entire textbook about 1812 and a comic book all in one. Honestly, I wish they had that shit when I was in school. Now, aside from that, we also have this book called Shame Conception. This is issue 1 of 3. Now, this looks like it's a pretty dark and kind of twisted tale. The artwork, for one thing, is beautiful. I just want to say that. It looks like watercolor, but if you know the medium, I would love for you to tell me that. What can you tell us about the plot line of this book?
Okay, well, Shame is written by Laverne Kajerski and painted by John Bolton, and it is watercolor. Every page in the book is a single watercolor canvas, okay, and there's no digital work in there at all.
How's that for an art school education?
And it's the best work of his career. I mean, it's absolutely stunning, the work he's doing. It's dark fantasy, it's a fairy tale in the old style of fairy tales, like a fairy tale for grown-ups. A story about a daughter and a mother and their battle against the evil father in their triangle of a relationship. I don't want to say too much because I'll give it away, the plot, but it came out for us last month and it's been our bestseller already, and it's just a stunning book in its own right. And the second book's out next year.
Speaking of selling, where can our fans pick these up?
It should be available in every comic book store and in some bookstores too. If Diamond say that they can't get it, then they just need a prod. You can come to our website and tell us, and we'll make sure they get it in. They've reordered 4 times, so it should be out there for everybody to get hold of.
What's your website?
RenegadeArtsEntertainment.com.
Awesome. Alex, thanks for being here.
My pleasure. Nice talking to you.
Enjoy the show, man.
Thank you. You too. Take care.